Honestly, I didn't expect to see so many of you at 9 o'clock this morning, but that's good. I'm glad you come. As you can see from my pin, this is my very first time at Codegarden, and when preparing this talk, I wanted to make it relevant and useful, but interesting at the same time. And I heard somewhere that use of analogies and metaphors can be a fun way of making a talk a little bit more engaging. So I desperately started thinking about metaphors for search engines and search indexes. After a few days, I couldn't come up with any decent analogies, so I asked ChatGPT about it. It suggested a few pretty standard ideas, things like searching for a book in a library catalog, or using a movie database like IMDb, or with navigating a grocery store when they moved everything again and people can no longer find products they want. But it wasn't quite what I wanted. And then I thought, what if I compare search engines and search indexes with human brain and how human memory works? ChatGPT replied, certainly, this comparison can provide a fascinating analogy. And it went on generating some content about how Lucene indexes are similar to our short-term memory. Not bad, but then it went on talking about how imperfect human brain is, how easy it is to forget things, and how human brain can be improved by integrating a search provider into it. And I was like, whoa, okay, thank you very much. Sounds really interesting, maybe next time. So really sorry, no analogies today, just the technical stuff. My name is Anna. I'm Solutions Architect at ByteMinds. We are an Umbraco partner based in Montenegro. I started as a .NET developer more than 12 years ago, and Umbraco work was kind of on and off for me. I spent a lot of time with some versions of Umbraco, and some versions I've never touched. And when last year I started working with Umbraco again, I had to learn quite a few things from scratch, and honestly, I was amazed by the community and the amount of helpful content out there. So this inspired me to share something that I found useful recently. So today, we are going to talk about three things: search, Umbraco, and Algolia. We all know what Umbraco is, and if you've not heard about Algolia before, it is a so-called search as a service platform. Basically, it's a managed search engine hosted somewhere in the cloud, and it just provides a portal for managing indexes, for configuring some rules, some dashboards with analytical reports, and a set of APIs for pushing data into the indexes and searching in them. So you may immediately be having a question: why do I even need an external search service when Umbraco comes with built-in indexes? And this is a valid question. Or maybe you are the opposite. Maybe you had some really painful experience with Lucene indexes in the past, and you don't need an excuse to switch to something else. I was the second type of person, and my painful experience was about 10 years ago, and it was horrible. And to be entirely honest with you, the root cause wasn't in Lucene indexes or in Umbraco. The actual problem was putting too much user-generated data into the CMS that should have never been there. What I'm trying to say is there are no good or bad search engines. There are just right use cases and solutions that fit them. So getting back to the question, I would even rephrase it, and instead of why, ask when. When should we consider it? What are the use cases and scenarios to think about and potentially opt for an external search service? The first one is content outside the CMS. It can be some third-party sites, can be some microsites, potentially data feeds, some CRM data integrations, PIM, you name it. The next one is user-generated content. I'm in this picture and I don't like it, but it can be some e-commerce orders, some transactions we may want to display on the user portal, maybe some forum posts, user comments, that sort of stuff. Then scaling and resilience. It is quite easy to scale our websites, but what I mean by scaling here is ability to scale our search service separately from the main site if there is an increased load on it. And resilience is also important if we want to, if search functionality is critical for our website and we want to make it independent from Azure platform upgrades or file system movements that can happen in the cloud infrastructure. Then multiple channels. If we have more than one channel consuming search results, search data, the same as the main website, using a standalone search provider can actually save us from the need of building additional APIs and effectively reduce load on the main site. Then search analytics. Usually it's not like the most critical requirement, and we can easily implement search analytics ourselves, but search providers usually come with it by default anyway. Then personalized or AI-driven search. I've put an asterisk here just because AI is pretty much a buzzword right now, and every second product claims that they have something to do with AI. Some companies are doing a great job here, but some only have like a marketing campaign page or a press release, and that's it. So if you do need some of these features, I recommend just spend some time in advance, do your own research, because what you need may not be available at the time or may not work as you expect. Or if your client just wants an AI badge on their search, that's also fine, we're not judging them. Now, to visualize this whole thing, let's imagine that we've got a university website. All its content pages, courses, subjects, schools, news, and events live in the Umbraco CMS. In order to index this data, Umbraco should send incremental content updates to the search service. Then the university also has a third-party online learning portal with short courses. And this portal is built by another company, it's maintained by them, completely separate, and it's even based on the PHP stack. So, but these short courses, they should be indexed and displayed on the main site as well. So this is where we can use data feeds, some data crawlers, or a PHP API client to push this data to a separate search index. Of course, we have our website front end, and this is where we have a wide choice of integration methods. Autocomplete search and search results can be powered by Algolia JavaScript libraries. It's quite easy to implement, but for some critical, SEO-critical pages, we may want to use server-side rendering, and this is where .NET API client can help us if we're using MVC and Razor views. And finally, there is a mobile app that, among other information, displays latest news and upcoming events from the main site. And this is where it can also read from the same search indexes. Though, as Umbraco developers, we are mainly interested in this part. And when I was looking at an Umbraco.Algolia integration last year, I immediately solutionized it in my head. I opened Visual Studio, started typing my notification handler class, and then I realized, hang on, someone must have done this already. I'm definitely not the first one who is having this problem. And I quickly found this blog post from Adrian at Umbraco, and this post is about an integration package for Algolia Search. This package is built and maintained by Umbraco themselves. And yeah, you can find it using this link. Its source code is available on GitHub with other integration packages. Though when I tried this library for the first time last year, I wasn't able to achieve all the scenarios that I needed. But after some discussions with Adrian and pull requests from the community, the second version was released, I think, in November last year. So let's have a closer look at it. The library is called Umbraco.Integrations.Search.Algolia, and it's quite easy to install it. Just use NuGet or type .NET add package. That's it. You can also specify a version number. The latest version as of today is 2.1.5, but I've seen that there are some changes are coming, so 2.2 is cooking. Once the package is installed, we can create an Algolia app if we don't have it yet. We just need to go to the Algolia portal, log in or create a new account. There is a free plan that is ideal for prototyping, proof of concepts, and testing features locally. And when we create an app, we just need to choose the region where our indexes will live. Then we can grab the application ID, the admin API key, and search API key, and just put them in the config as shown on the slide. And finally, after a website restart, if we have done everything correctly, then a new area will appear in the Umbraco backoffice under the settings. It will be called Algolia Index Management. And this is where we can start configuring our search indexes. This is like a snippet of this UI. Let's see what's included in the library. It comes with index management UI. This is a really nice way to configure our indexes. It allows us to select document types and properties that we want to index, just all through the UI. It also allows us to trigger a full index rebuild directly from the Umbraco backoffice and do a quick search to see what's in the index. All configurations that we do through this UI are saved in a custom table called Algolia Indices in the SQL database. It also includes a notification handler that is responsible for sending incremental updates to the search service, and a set of a set of property converters that transform our Umbraco properties into the format that is understandable by Algolia. I hope it comes as no surprise that some things are not included and still needs to be built by us. It is website search logic and any front-end functionality for reading data from the index and displaying it to the end users, and crawling non-Umbraco content, whether it's external systems, some custom SQL tables. It's not included and should be done by us. Basically, anything that is not a document type, you cannot do through this library. The best way to implement these things is to use libraries and packages provided by Algolia, because they have quite many API connectors and tools for modern frameworks and languages. This is, again, just like a short snippet of what's available. Okay. As you start creating your indexes, you will probably realize that not all your business requirements can be covered by this library, and this is okay. In order to choose the right customization methods, we should first understand how this thing works. It all starts from the notification handler. It receives a notification message for each cache clearing operation. In this message, there is a list of entities that were changed. So the handler goes through all entities in this notification message. It tries to find indexes that are configured for this document type. in the Algolia indices table. And if there are any, it will call the record builder class. Record builder is responsible for building the record object that will be indexed and sent to Algolia. So what it does, it takes all properties, published data, and goes through the list of the properties and calls field converters depending on the property editor type. One for numbers, one for toggles, different one for media picker, and so on. And once the record object is created, fully populated, it is sent to Algolia API using its .NET API client. Now, all three blocks in the middle can be customized. But note that there is a question mark against the notification handler. We'll come back to it. So these work best in different scenarios. And let's have a look at some of the examples. The first one is property converters. They are helpful when we have some property types that we want to index in a certain way. In converters, we have access only to the current property, not to the entire document. So converters work best if we just need to transform one property. So if you need access to more than one field, please just wait for the next slide. In this example, I'm showing a custom converter for the datetime property. By default, dates are serialized as strings in the ISO format, which is sort of okay for sorting. But if we want to have some filtering by dates, it's best if we create a converter, because Algolia expects that dates are sent in the Unix timestamp format. And this is what this converter does. You see, we implement Algolia index value converter, we specify the name, the alias of the property editor type, and then we just implement some functionality. Other type of property editors that you may want to customize are things like tags, multi-node tree picker, media picker. It all depends on your content structure and business requirements, how you're working with search, basically. By the way, this is not a full code. It's just some snippets that I could fit on a slide, so you can read them and get a rough idea, but I will share a link to the full code. In some cases, converters are not enough, as I mentioned, so this is where custom record builders can help. This functionality was released in version 2, and it was actually a pull request from Piotr Krajewski, so well done to Piotr and to Adrian for implementing this. And I found this feature extremely useful for cases when I need to change the structure of the record object. For example, if we need to add some attributes that are not properties of the document type, if we need to combine multiple properties into one or split one into multiple. We just need to create a custom record class and then implement logic in the record builder for this document type. One of the common examples is geographical search, and Algolia requires that geographical coordinates are stored in a special field called _geolog. You see it's in the georecord class. That's how it should be called. And this property should be an object or an array of objects with two attributes, latitude, longitude. It's kind of, for me, it feels like it's not very flexible, but that's how it works. So in order to work with geographical search and index this data, we need this type of customization where we can define our custom field and we can populate it in our record builder. Then the notification handler. Okay, remember the question mark. This is not pretty, and I don't expect that you will need this often, but in case you need to change the way how content is retrieved from Umbraco and passed to the record builder, or how the record objects are sent to Algolia, it all happens in the notification handler that comes out of the box. So if we need, we can override this class and just register our own implementation of it. But the standard notification handler, it doesn't have any virtual methods. So if we want to override it, it means we'll need to copy some code. So what I advise, don't do this, because your library upgrades may become a mess, only if you absolutely have to. One of the scenarios I was thinking about is sometimes, we need to have some pages that are not searchable, visible on the website. They can only be accessed via direct link. And this is where we can just achieve something like this. Our pages, for example, we have a toggle called hide from search, and we can just filter out pages in our notification handler, where I'm showing that custom logic will be here. But again, it's possible, but don't do this unless you absolutely have to. And there are a couple of reasons why I added the word experience to the title. One, it kind of sounds cool. And the other one, what I really want to emphasize is the fact that it's not just for usual site search, right? We can and should use search indexes in many other examples. It's listing pages, pretty obvious. It's all our product listing pages, news, articles, insights, however we want to call them. Then filter, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Then going back. Filters and facets. Of course, we can build something bespoke and just build it from scratch, but search providers, they come with good support of filters and facets out of the box, and usually they give us the best performance when implementing these things. Then taxonomy and tag-based related entities. It can be a related links component. It can be some marketing campaign page, maybe some email with dynamic list of products that are pre-filtered by a tag or category. Then recommendations. Such platforms often come with a recommendation API that is powered by 1, our index data, and 2, analytical events that we send to the API. This is typically used for building components like you may also be interested in, or people are looking at. I'm sure you've seen many of these examples and built many of them. And lastly, chatbots. As a user, I'm not a fan of chatbots just because I'm good at reading instructions, and when I do need help, usually it requires humans' involvement. But still, it can be a classic chatbot that asks a series of questions and then pulls the recommended results from the index, or it can be the Ask AI type of search, where users can type or say their prompts and get relevant results from the index. Many people now prefer this conversational type of search. Okay, and I've shown this already. If you want to see the full code of customizations that I've shown earlier, you can find them in this code repository. There are just a few classes and explanation of what they're doing. They're tested with Umbraco 13 and Umbraco CMS Integrations.Algolia package version 2.1.5. I'll say it's not tested with Umbraco 14 yet, just because the package is not supporting it yet, but I've seen that Adrian is already working on it. So as soon as the package is updated and supports Umbraco 14, I will test these customizations too. So thank you.